I think for a growing portion of Americans, this gets back to what Ron was talking about, I think the central issue they face is that their wages are not keeping pace with rising prices. That obviously is uneven across the country because of the way different industry structure, given different development patterns. But for a growing number of Americans, what they're finding is their ability to deal with housing prices, even with the so-called market correction, and really to deal with transportation prices is becoming more and more difficult. And those two elements are really the biggest aspects of household budgets. So again, if we were going to have a group here of people, take your pick at the starting income going up to the top income, and you ask them, what do you spend the bulk of your income on? They would say, well, my mortgage or my rental payment, and transportation costs, whether it's the cost of owning and maintaining 2 or 3 cars, particularly in suburban areas, and dealing with the rising cost of gasoline. I have not heard a lot yet in the campaign, with the exception of the subprime issue, about either housing or transportation. I think we have heard some about health care, which is another, obviously, price and cost that people face. We've heard some about the immediate, threat of foreclosures and delinquencies and so forth coming from the subprime issue. And we've heard some about education and skills. But I've not really heard that much yet about what is really the 2 central costs that most middle-class families face in the United States, housing and transportation. These are areas of domestic policy that are not fully owned by the federal government. They really are shared responsibilities between the federal, state, local, and metropolitan governments. But I think they deserve, if we're going to have a serious conversation about this, not just about helping people in the middle class stay in the middle class, but more importantly, as Ron talked about, helping people sort of enter and stay. I think we need to put a broader swath of domestic policies on the table and have a really more sophisticated conversation about the shared partnership between different levels of government.